Dr. Sandra Miller of Complete Hearing Solutions is joining me this morning in studio for the conversation starts here. Good to see your face again.
Good to see your face again as well.
After, was it March?
It's been since March.
Back in March that we last talked. You can check out more of the many services of Complete Hearing Solutions at complete-hearing.com. Hearing is different than listening.
Oh, my goodness.
My wife told me that originally. At Complete Hearing, you do both, giving people a fuller life by keeping their world filled with sounds, and that's where your hearing devices help.
Absolutely.
At Complete Hearing. But also at Complete Hearing, you also listen to what your patients say and questions that they ask about the hearing devices. And that's this morning's conversation. We go to your top 10 most asked questions.
I love when we sit down with a patient and we talk about, we may have done an evaluation and the patient now needs a little bit of assistance. So we talk about, what are my rehabilitation options? Does that mean I need something part of the time? Does it mean I need something full time? What are my options? And so one of the major questions I always get is this going to bring my hearing back to normal? And my response always is, you know how wonderful glasses are for most people? You put a pair of glasses on, and instantly your vision becomes normal. With hearing, it's very, very different, and that's because there is systems that'll happen is when we put sound back to the brain obviously is what hears. And so when we deliver sound back to the brain is a muscle, and we have to re-exercise that muscle. And there's some distortion that has happened in the brain in regards to sound. And so when we put hearing aids on, we will never bring your hearing back to normal. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. But what we do is we re-exercise the brain, and we're going to get you to more of an optimum level that you're functioning currently. So normal, no, but improved and optimized, yes.
What are some of the common questions that you hear?
A lot of times people will come in and they'll say they know somebody who has a hearing aid, or they started researching online and they just have questions about which one of these is going to be best for me. And that's the time when we want to make sure we say, let's talk about what your dexterity is like. Let's talk about what your lifestyle is like. Let's talk about if you care if somebody sees this or not. Let's talk about your activity levels and how much you sweat. So we take into all the considerations of that individual person to make that decision. So when we talk about style first, those things come into play, just to say, what is this going to look like and how is it going to function? And then the second thing we evaluate is, what do you need this for? I tell my patients, everybody, if they can purchase something that matches their lifestyle, that's going to be best. And just because you are 80 years old and you're more sedentary doesn't mean you still don't need great sound quality. Your brain demands good sound quality, and you're only going to hear as well as the information that's given to the brain. And so we want to make sure that we give the brain good information. So we try to take a look at your lifestyle just to say, are you going to use this? Do you want batteries or not batteries? I don't know. Do you want this connected to your phone or not connected to your phone? And then a lot of my patients don't want those features, but as we start to talk about them, they go, oh, I see why that's a benefit. The other thing I would tell you is most hearing aids come that way now. So everything is rechargeable, has an option for that, and everything can connect to your phone. And so those are features you may or may not use, but they're great features that we can still offer the patient depending on their lifestyle, which is really an awesome thing.
I have asked you a lot of questions over the year, but I've never asked you the question of, why do some people need one hearing aid and others need two?
Such a good question. 90% of people who have hearing loss need two hearing aids. Hearing loss tends to be symmetrical, meaning that your hearing decreases in both ears exactly the same. People get one hearing aid because they only have one hearing aid ear, or they only have one ear that needs a hearing aid, or for financial reasons. But for 90% of the people who have hearing loss need two hearing aids. Why? Why do I need two hearing aids? Your brain functions on something we call binaural summation. It's a big fancy word that just simply means your brain likes to have equal input to both sides of your head. And so if you only wear one hearing aid, guess what happens? You will not know where sound comes from. So say you have equal hearing loss in both ears. You put a hearing aid on one ear, it gets disorientating because the brain is not going to know where sound is coming from. Numerous studies have been done with what happens when you wear one hearing aid versus two in a noisy environment. When you wear one hearing aid, your clarity will drop to less than 20%. When you wear two hearing aids, you're going to function more like a normal hearing person does in a noisy room. Now, I have normal hearing. I don't function perfectly in a noisy room, but when you have two devices on and you have hearing loss in both ears, you're going to function closer to how a normal hearing person would function. So your brain needs that additional information. So I always tell my patients, when you went to the eye doctor and he told you you had vision loss in both eyes, do you tell him you just want to correct one eye? And then I get the people say, oh, I only have one bad eye. And I go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. But for the most part, you get glasses for both of your eyes. And for hearing, 90% of people need hearing devices in both ears.
How long does it take to get used to either one or both?
my comment back to my patients typically is this can take you 5 minutes or this can take you 5 months. Everybody's so different, and so the brain is so adaptable depending on the patient and how long they've had hearing loss, where they have hearing loss, what their environments are like. Some of my patients adapt very quickly. Other patients, it just takes them so much longer to get used to it. And how you get used to it is you put it on and wear it every single day, all day long, your waking hours. That's the best way to exercise your brain and get used to it. Some of my patients come back and say, the first couple of days I noticed so much information, but the more I wore it, the better it became, and I'm slowly getting used to this. And other patients have come back and said, I'm glad you told me to stick with this because it has taken me, like you said, a few weeks to kind of accustomize to what this is like. And so there's another place where it's very much not like glasses. We don't stick a pair of hearing aids on people and go, I love this, and they walk out, because what happens is your brain is re-engaged with all the sounds of the world, and the brain needs to resort through that information. So again, hearing is very different than putting on a pair of glasses.
With vision, and you've used vision as a comparison with the glasses, with vision, you mentioned the fact that people walk out of the store and their vision is better. Guarantee? Probably not so much with hearing.
Well, I think there's what I want to encourage the listeners is just to make sure if you decide you're going to pursue getting hearing aids, it's required by law that you have a trial period. So there's time where you need to go out and wear this in the real world. Somebody fitting you in an office is not what the real world is.
There aren't horns honking. There aren't people
right?
talking.
It's in that quiet little office. I always tell my patients, this is not the real world. You have to go out and get into the environments that challenge you to see how this is going to work. And so I like the word guarantee, just simply saying, we're going to put these devices on you and make sure this is going to work. So we do a demo in our office. That means we'll put devices on people. Hey, why don't you take these out and try these for a week and see what this is like? No cost, no obligation. I always say, you're not going to buy a new car without driving it, right? And if you're going to spend thousands of dollars on a hearing aid, you want to make sure that I put it on and wear it. And so I would say the guarantee, yes, hearing aids are returnable. And that just simply means, do patients return hearing aids? I get that question a lot too. Well, can I return these if they don't work? Well, absolutely you can. I'm kind of, I don't give up very easily. So if my patient comes back and was not successful, I'm always going to try to find another solution. Let's try a different manufacturer. Let's try a different solution for you to see if we can't help you. Because if you came to me and then we diagnosed that you have some hearing loss, we need to find you a solution. You continuing to go out and try to just get by is not good for the health of you or your brain. And so we want to make sure we find the right solution. So yes, we guarantee it's going to work. And if we try, there's not too many times I've given up.
How often should people get their hearing tested? With vision, you go back because your vision gets worse.
Right.
Does hearing get worse, and how often should a person go back for tests?
Great question. It's really important to treat your hearing like you treat your vision, like you treat your teeth. Of course, we're not going to get our hearing tested twice a year because I go get a dental cleaning twice a year. But I would think about just thinking about your hearing like you think about your other senses. So with glasses, you go back every couple of years to have your vision checked. For most people. What we tell you about hearing is that, number one, first make sure you get a baseline test if you haven't done so already. And depending on what that baseline shows, we'll determine how often we want you to come back. And also that we take into account your lifestyle, your risk factors, your overall health. We'll make a recommendation based on that. Once we've established that you do have hearing loss, annually is really a good idea. Hearing loss tends to be so gradual that when you have minor changes in your hearing and you're wearing a device, we want to see you back annually to readjust the device. And so with vision, you notice it, right? You're like, I'm not seeing quite as well. With hearing, even when people wear hearing aids, they might bring their devices in and I'll say, have you noticed this right one isn't working as well? Or have you noticed you're having a change in your hearing? And sometimes people don't notice. And so we recommend once you've established you have hearing loss that you have it checked annually.
I assume that people ask about cost.
Always.
And in that conversation, the question of insurance.
Yes. So I think there's good and bad when it comes to coverage. And so more insurance companies are covering hearing aids, which I think is a really good thing. They're just not making it very clear to the consumer and sometimes on our end as well. So we do contract negotiations, but we want to make sure that what the insurance company is offering you is best for you. And we want to make sure we maximize your benefit as well. So I would tell you, again, insurance is becoming more prevalent, which we help you navigate through those waters to make sure that we can get you the right solution. But still, I would tell you for the majority is still an out-of-pocket expense. And so when my patients come in and say, well, I don't want to spend $10,000 on a pair of hearing aids, I say, well, I could sell you 2 pair for $10,000 if you really want 2 pair. I think there's a misconception about how much hearing aids really do cost when it comes to, you can buy them on the internet. We've talked about this many times. You can buy an amplifier on the internet for $49.95. Dr. Miller, why are you selling me a hearing aid that costs, $1,000 or $2,000? So we talk about those differences in technology quality and how we custom fit this to you, and how when you buy something out of the box or at Walmart or over the counter, what you're getting versus being custom fit.
I really didn't understand that until I compared it to a prosthetic.
Yes.
That can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and you think, well, my gosh, what benefit does that cost have? It has a lot of benefit. Let me just say.
Tell you wouldn't go buy your prosthetic online and just have it delivered to your house from Amazon and put it on and expect it to work.
No.
And I think sometimes hearing devices definitely get compared to glasses, because that's how glasses are. You can get some readers. And I would tell you, have the right expectations. So if you are going to buy something over the counter, just simply have the right expectation of what it can do. And know that we are there to help you with regardless of what you decide you're going to do. I love when people call or they email and say, hey, I'm considering doing this. Can you help me with a little bit of information? Absolutely. I just am always grateful when somebody takes the first step, because so many people are just waiting to take the first step. And whether that's fear, they don't know, they're just not aware that they have some difficulty, they're afraid it's going to make them look old, all those things that are kind of going to the back of the head of, I'm not going to get this checked out. Oh, it's one of your senses. Just do it, because it's about your lifestyle, it's about your health, it's about your brain, and it's just one of those senses that we just overlook so often.
You know you're doing the right thing. There's confidence in your skill set and those in your staff, but it's nice to be validated, and that's where I bring up in the moments that we have left the 2020 number one choice for the Best of Lincoln for audiology and hearing centers.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you. We were so grateful for that. I would tell you, we work really hard to make sure that when you come to the office that you have a great experience and that you feel well taken care of. Many of our patients have told us it's like coming to a family, like I'm coming into my family to see my family, because we always try to make sure that you are acknowledged, you're treated by name, and that you're well taken care of. And we take you into consideration. We've talked about before, we've designed our space around our patients. We design our procedures and our protocols around our patients. And still in the advent of COVID, where we're still in the situation where we have to continue to watch this and make strategies and measures to make sure that we are taking care of our patients as well as our staff. But we put the patient first. That's number one.
There's a lot of ways you can get to know Complete Hearing Solutions. You can go to complete-hearing.com. There's Facebook, Instagram, email, LinkedIn, podcasts too of our past conversations. All of that at complete-hearing.com. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Dal.